can see we have more people who have joined us. Thank you so much. Antene from Ethiopia. Pamela from Uganda, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited. I think we can see Uganda is most represented on this call, which is exciting. I think there's a lot to learn from our conversation for the people in Uganda, as well as Kenya. Nigeria, we're excited because this conversation cuts across. Happy to also see somebody from Ethiopia. Nancy from Nairobi, Kenya, thank you so much for joining us. And you are very, very welcome. And I can see we have good quorum, and it's exactly 5 minutes past 4 East African time, and we'd like to begin our conversation. Once again, allow me to welcome you to today's conversation, where we're talking about how we rethink our employee recognition and rewards. And we had a bit of a focus for Kenya and Uganda, because we have studied a lot of patterns, and we've also looked at the compliance issues, and partly because this is a partnership conversation with Aptivate, and I will allow one of our speakers to tell you a bit more about Aptivate. Part of the reason why this conversation is important to us as Workpay is because at the heart of what we do is for the employee, and we want to ensure that they are properly enabled for them to be and continue to be productive in the workplace, because we also understand that happy employees provide great results for employers, and these are the people that we speak to on a day-to-day basis. So we are really excited to partner with Aptivate to bring this conversation to you. And with me today, I am joined by Neil Ribeiro, who is the CEO and founder of Aptivate. He's going to talk about his cutting-edge tech solution to employee reward and recognition. And we also joined by a surprise guest. We had talked about our surprise guest for the day. Our surprise guest is called Karen. She's a HR professional with over 10 years of experience. And she's excited because employee recognition is part of what she does on a day-to-day. So she's happy to share with us her thoughts and her experiences, both working with organizations like Aptivate, but also some insights on how, as HR professionals, we can approach this differently. So allow me to welcome Neil for a short introduction of himself and for Aptivate as part of this webinar's partnership, and then we can go to Karen. Neil, over to you.
Thanks, Jess, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today and to be part of this webinar. It's indeed a privilege. So to tell you a bit about Aptivate Africa and what we do. So I'll start with our tagline, which is empowering workplaces and inspiring people. And we believe that we develop technology to help make it easy for employers and HR professionals to be able to empower their workplace and inspire their people.
Sorry, thank you so much, Neil. Karen?
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Karen Alwali, a HR professional with over 10 years, working with an organization which is based with coffee, and I'm big on benefits, culture change, and rewarding of employees. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. We are really excited that you have agreed to lend both your experience and your knowledge to this topic for today. And I think I will start with maybe just an understanding of what happens at the end of the year for most organizations, because they're always looking for innovative ways to show appreciation to their teams. And I know because a lot of things has changed, especially since COVID and remote work came in, and we stopped doing, or organizations stopped doing, what seemed to be best when people are meeting in person. And because of this evolving, more and more organizations are looking for opportunities to appreciate their teams differently. And we want to see how differently this webinar can highlight ways that can help them bring out. But even before we get into that conversation, I'm going to run a short poll that will help us understand how does your company reward, what approach have they taken. And that poll has already run now. Please let us know how your company's usual end of year reward approach. Do they do team lunches? Do they do gift hampers? Are they cash bonuses? Is there none? Because a lot of times there are people who don't have frameworks or structures to support this, and you'd really love to know, to also understand how best to shape our conversation. I think speaking for my organization, we have team lunches, end of year parties, which is really cool. And I can see we have quite a number of people who are agreeing with us. I can see a few people who have gift hampers, which is really good and always seems personal. Cash bonuses, which I know most people would agree is one of the ways that they would want to be rewarded. And sadly, we still have quite a number of people who have none, or it varies year on year. And maybe this gives us a very good place to start our conversation. And I'm going to start with you, Neil, maybe just to look at how the landscape for employee rewards have changed over time. Looking at employee expectations, how have they evolved so that organizations are looking to adapt to these expectations. And we've seen changes in the traditional reward systems. And just looking at what people are getting right now, the approaches that organizations are taking. Right now, if team lunches are the most, is it what people actually want? Or is it what organizations are providing for people without, maybe understanding the expectations of these employees?
Okay, thank you, Jess. So if I can take everyone back to 2019, 2020, 2021, for many of us, this was a life-changing time. And I think for many of us, we decided to reevaluate what's important in our lives. And for many employees, when they ended up doing this reevaluation after COVID, they also reevaluated what they want out of the employer and what they want to give to the employer. So after COVID, what we've seen is we've seen people who want more flexibility around their work and work hours. And I think that came about because of us, a lot of us working from home. And if most employees are still looking for that, even if you ask your employees to come back to work full time, if you were to ask them, they would much prefer to work the other way. Now, fortunately for Aptivate, when this thing started, we didn't have this issue because when we launched in 2018, we launched with a work from anywhere policy. So employees did not have to come to work. They could work from wherever they wanted to work from, even before COVID. This work from home thing was not something new for us to adapt to during COVID. I think also related to this the COVID issue, employees are looking for things which are related to wellness. And they're also looking for other benefits that outlay purely financial rewards because of the change in what you want in life post-COVID and how COVID has changed our lives. Obviously, when COVID came about, a lot of us moved to using the mobile phone a lot more. We downloaded apps for delivery of food, of groceries, and so on. And so passing that on, employees are also looking for rewards which are seamless on the mobile phone.
Thank you, Neil. And maybe this begs the question, why or how do you see the traditional rewards no longer delivering the same engagement or value for employees? Because clearly it seems like what employees are getting from employers are a bit different. Why do you think it's no longer delivering what it used to deliver before?
So with the mobile phone becoming part of our daily lives and customization coming more and more a requirement, when you do a traditional reward, for example, if you do a hamper, now let's say you give me a hamper that has got chocolate and wine in it, and I am diabetic and I don't drink alcohol. You can see how this hamper is going to have little value for me. So what employers are looking for is something that is more customized, more to what they want, as opposed to a generic gift that you're giving them at the end of the year.
And I think that, again, gives a really good introduction to what Aptivate does, to help create a different way of approaching employee engagement or value when it comes to rewarding. And I think I would want you to maybe simply talk about your approach and what inspired this approach, just beyond the involvement of behavior of the employee, and how this answers now to this very question that you're saying, that the dynamism of employee needs and how the employer has aligned themselves to that fits into the Aptivate's conversation.
Okay. So when you as an employer will go ahead and provide your employees with some kind of reward, it's usually done to reinforce a behavior change and to make sure that the behavior change continues. So if the behavior change is to meet a certain target, you want to continue reinforcing that. If it's to bring accidents down to zero, you want to continue reinforcing that. So it's important that when the benefit is given that so it continues reinforcing that. The traditional benefit that's given in Kenya is a supermarket voucher. Now, the supermarket voucher will work for a certain level of people who will really appreciate it. But as you move further up in the organization, for many people, they don't appreciate the supermarket voucher because it's equal to 1 week shopping or half a week shopping or something like that. When I go and buy my rice, my milk, my sugar, my bread with that supermarket voucher, and I eat it, I don't even remember that my employer gave me this. So can you see how small the impact is to the employer? Yeah. Now, if I knew that Jess likes a certain perfume and she got that perfume, I knew that Mary likes a certain shoe and she was able to get that shoe. I knew that Neil likes eating at a certain restaurant and he's able to get a voucher for that restaurant. Can you see how much of an impact that would make to my life and help reinforce that change that I, as an employer, want to reinforce? So what we've done at Aptivate is we've created a voucher called M-Tuza. And for the benefit of those who are not in Kenya, Tuza means to gift. And M comes from the mobile side because it's a mobile solution. So what does M-Tuza do? It's a multi-store digital gift voucher that can be used across many different stores and can be used piecemeal, and it's digital, so it's with you all the time. And by doing this, you're able to customize the solution without really customizing the solution, because it's one solution, M-Tuza, but for Jess, that M-Tuza is that perfume. For Mary, that M-Tuza is those pair of shoes. For Neil, that M-Tuza is having a really nice meal at his favorite restaurant.
Interesting. What I'm hearing is that it gives employees more freedom to choose how they want to get their own reward, which is really helpful because, as you said, maybe I'm not an appreciator of perfumes and I want food. And really this then changes how I look at the reward if I'm able to make the choice. And this takes me to the next question, and I think I would want to get Karen's idea on this. Maybe as a HR professional, is there any opportunity that employers or HRs that are the people who curate these initiatives, reward initiatives, that they take to ask employees, what do you want? Or is this something that they just decide?
Okay, in HR, we have learned that rewards should be a bit personal timing, as what Neil has said. And this is linked to behavior or performance. So yeah, I'd like to get ideas from colleagues, like here and there. What didn't you like about what you gifted? What do you think was a bit helpful? And from that, sitting as a team of HRs, we can come up with a good gifting ideas. So yeah, we have to hear from the employees first, because you just can't make decisions for everyone. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious, and this is to our audience. I would want to know what kind of challenges have you faced when rewarding employees? And I think, as Neil has said, we want to think about rewarding beyond performance. If there is something that is good from a behavior perspective that has been rewarded. And I would like to run a poll that also launches us to the next part of this conversation. What is the biggest challenge your company faces when rewarding employees? You're talking about logistics and distribution. This could be for people who are in different places when it comes to something like remote working. Tax or compliance complexity in countries like Kenya and Uganda, we know some of these benefits are taxed. Is it lack of employee engagement? And partly what we were asking Karen, do you actually ask people whether they would want to be rewarded a certain way? And I can already see most people are talking about budget. Do we not have enough money to do this? And I know Neil and Karen may not be able to tell you where to get the money to do this, but probably how to use the money that you have, to deliver the best. Please keep voting. This is really helpful in shaping our conversation and also understanding some of the challenges that we need to face even as we go on with this conversation. Remember to drop your questions on the Q&A section. We will be taking our questions on a rolling basis as we go to make sure that everybody has understood our conversation. Thank you so much for the people who have already responded to our poll. And I think most of you feel that budget constraint is the biggest challenge that the company faces when rewarding. But we also have a chunk of people that are looking at tax or compliance complexity. And I'm happy that Neil will be talking about the compliance and tax part of this conversation a bit later. But this takes us to the next part of the conversation. And I would want to come to you, Karen, as a HR professional. Yes. How do you design meaningful employee reward systems? And partly, how can you, give us ideas of organizations that have transitioned from cash bonuses to digital rewards, like what Aptivate provides? To start with.
So I would like to say previously, end of year bonuses, as you've said, created pressure on budgets, and the distribution was manual. Like what I'd say when I started working at my organization, where we'll have to get vouchers and have to label them, and people would call us endlessly, I went to the supermarket, my voucher is not working. So there was a lot of end-to-end and not meeting the point. So some employees even forgot about their vouchers, so they expired. So some of them felt undervalued because of all this. So we adopted the digital way, and the process became a bit seamless because everyone would get the rewards directly to their phones. So I would say it removed bias, because now rewards are based on clear criteria, where performance, peer nomination, manager recognition, because we do all that in recognition through the digital platforms. And I would like to encourage organizations to go the digital way, because it's easier. It's easier that way. removes a lot of pressure, if I might say. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think personally, I've also had such kind of an experience where I'm stuck at the till because my voucher is not working and I have to make calls, and really it's not comfortable. And since using Aptivate's solution for M2SA, what has the feedback from employees been? Because a lot of times as the people who are implementing this, if you don't listen to the people at the grassroots, the people who are interacting with it on a day-to-day, what has the feedback from employees been with the introduction of the digital reward system? Karen, sorry, this is to you. Sorry, Karen, can you hear us?
They can.
Karen, I think we lost you for a bit. If you can hear us.
Just whilst
Can you
we're
hear me?
waiting for her
Sorry,
to...
I think I got. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Karen, we can hear
Hello.
you. You can hear us?
Hello.
Just whilst we're waiting for her connection come back, let me just share a few statistics on the traditional paper voucher. And so to help the audience understand that when you give a traditional paper voucher, you're actually throwing money away. So 16% of paper vouchers that you give your employees are never used. So this could mean that they got lost, they got washed, they put in a handbag and they expired, they were put in a drawer and you forgot about them. So 16% are never used at all, not even 1 shilling of it. Then for 86% of them, they never use the whole thing. So if you're giving a 5,000 shillings voucher, there's always some money that, for 86% of the people, there's some money that's left there, which is never spent and never used for the voucher. So there's actually money you're throwing away by using the traditional paper voucher in that case.
And
sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right. I think technical.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Sorry about that. We were on employee feedback and adoption.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I would say employee loved the flexibility that comes with the digital vouchers. As Neil had earlier mentioned, because you get to get something of your choice. And we also noticed a strong sense of inclusion, especially among younger staff who prefer the digital first experience. So recognition actually fits the digital, I would say the digital vouchers actually fit our life today because we are going to the digital work space. So I think the adoption was over 85% within the first few months, which was great for us.
Wow. And when it comes to the cost of this as a reward program, how does it compare to the traditional to the cost of the traditional ways or methods for reward?
Okay, for the digital rewards, I bet it helps us control costs because there's a way you can track how it was spent and by whom. With cash bonuses, we often overshoot the budget or even face complaints about inequality. So with M2SA, as you can say, we can allocate even a small reward of 1,000, which really motivates the employees throughout the year. So it controls the cost because you know you can track exactly how it is spent. So there won't be a finance here saying somebody took 15 or we didn't see how it went and favorism and all that. Yeah.
And I think you're alluding to something that, again, I'm curious about when it comes to the digital reward systems and solutions. How do you ensure fairness and inclusivity when you're designing or you are implementing reward systems so that it's not for a specific people? And maybe this is very general, not just to what you have implemented from an Aptivate's point of view, but as a HR professional, how do you ensure fairness and inclusivity?
With this, because we sit down as HODs during the decisions to make about rewarding our employees, and we come up with a certain amount. I know it's funny where people will say that the boss should get this and the cleaner should get this, but where I work, it is same for each and every person, because we believe everyone has put enough effort during the year to be able to be rewarded equally. So for fairness, we give the same amount of vouchers depending on whoever you are and which position you hold. So I think that's what our HR partners out there should emulate, because you'd feel the driver saying today, I'm the one who drives these people to work. If I'm not there, they will not be able to reach to that meeting on point. But they think there's someone out there, they're the ones doing the job. So to bring that inclusivity and for our employees to be motivated, we decided for it to cut across same amount.
Wow. And I think it's a really fair game if, and especially for the cleaner who knows that I'm getting the same amount as the CEO. And that also goes with transparency, that people actually know that that is what you're implementing, so that it's not even something that is hidden. And I think a final question for you, even before I go back to Neil, would be there's merit in tying some of these initiatives to company culture and performance goals. How do you think HR teams can align these reward programs with their culture internally and some of the goals that they have in terms of performance, whether business or otherwise?
So we ensure, as you've said, transparent is the recognition is transparent and tied to measurable contributions, because we also rotate, like I say, recognition categories. Today we can say it's the sales performance, for example. We can say it's the marketing people. Today we are looking at finance. We have these trivias, and through that, and also teamwork, innovation, customer service. So each department will feel represented during this digital recognition. So that's what we should do as HRs to make sure that there are people who are not felt left out, they're included. Yeah, and that brings a lot of motivation.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for that, because I think it's a question that many HRs would agree with me, that it's always something that at the end of the day, they want to ensure that they're also speaking the business conversation with the other business leaders. And I think this is how I want to introduce the next part of this conversation. And I want to come to you, Neil, maybe just to look at the tax advantage. We've seen some of these incentives that are being extended to employees by organizations, attracting taxations by the different government agencies. And I know there is a smarter way of rewarding that may or may not include taxation. And I think I would want you to talk to us a bit more about the tax advantage when you are using Activate.
Okay, thanks, Jess. So I'll talk mainly in regards to Kenya and Uganda, because that is where Activate operates, and that's where I'm familiar with the taxes. So let's say Kenya first. So in Kenya, the Income Tax Act allows you to give your employees up to 60,000 shillings a year tax-free if the money goes towards meals. And also, the same act allows you to give your employees 60,000 shillings a year tax-free if that money goes towards a non-cash benefit like a voucher. So I think most of us here would probably be paying tax of somewhere between 25 to 30%. So on the 30% tax bracket, which I think most people will be in, if you were to give your employees this in the form of a non-cash benefit in form of meals, the employee will actually get 36,000 shillings, which would otherwise have gone to the KRA and into the government coffers. So this can actually be used as a way to help control or improve how much the employee takes home. And I've just taken PAYE here. If you're in Kenya, you know there's SHA, there's housing levy, there's NSSF, and I hear now there's an infrastructure levy coming in. So when you give this money in the form of a non-cash benefit like a digital voucher, that money is not taxed up to 60,000 shillings. And if you provide your employees with meals throughout the year, that also is not taxed to up to 60,000 shillings per year. For Uganda, on the meal side, there is no limit, provided you're providing all the employees with the same benefit. Then you are able to give that benefit tax-free when it comes to meals. So in Uganda, also there's something there that says that the meal cannot be converted to cash. So the onus is on the employer there to make sure that the employee is not it cannot sell that meal and get cash. It's in the law, but I think in reality it's difficult to go ahead and enforce.
Okay, and I think I like when you talk about the examples both with KRA and URA, because we all see this on our own pay slips. If you have any benefits extended to you that comes in form of money, and I don't know whether you have an example that could help HRs in the house or any business person in the house, to have a comparison of what it looked like or it would look like if you're using the traditional ways of reward, whether it's through the bonuses or through the free lunches in terms of money, and how it would look like with a digital benefits solution like M2SA.
So I don't have one written down, but I can come up with one fairly quickly. So let's say you wanted to give your employees a 10,000 shilling cash bonus, and you put this 10,000 shillings into payroll. What's going to end up happening is the employee is going to get approximately 6,700 shillings out of that 10,000. But if you put it into a non-cash benefit, the employee will get the whole 10,000 shillings.
Okay. And I think that's the part where now we would ask the question, what does it take for me as an employee, what does it take my employer to do for me as an employee to get my entire cash benefit without losing a chunk of it to the taxman?
So there's several different non-cash benefit solutions. As an employer, I think now, as an employee, if you're going to go to your employer and say, hey, we're giving money to the KRA when that money could come to me, and it's not going to cost you anything extra, I don't see why an employer is going to say, no, I shouldn't do that. So Activate is one of the options you can use, but there's also other options. And if you Google, you can find other options for people who will provide a digital non-cash benefit that can be used by the employees.
Okay. And I'm curious because as you've said, if we went online to Google about digital non-cash benefits, we would find others. I don't know how many people in the house knew about some of the non-benefits, the digital employee benefits that can be tax exempt in some countries. And I'm going to run a poll, and really just to help us understand whether we knew about this and some of the solutions like what Neil is talking about, to also help us know how deep we dig into this. I can see a huge number of people are saying no, they did not know about this. I think there is still a lot of work to be done within the employer-employee ecosystems, Neil, to help people better understand what their options are. That if this money is meant for me, what are my options if I want to get my entire 10,000 as opposed to only 6,500 of my bonus or of my allocation from my employer. Thank you for the guys who are voting and keep voting. I think No has taken the day today. Most people did not know about these non-cash benefits, and I think it would be a good chance to have conversations that push us to better understand how these can be implemented within organization. And you said something, Neil, that as an employee, I can approach my employer to request that they adopt this. I'm not sure whether it's practice, and maybe even from the HR, we can hear whether that's something that they listen to the employees about. But maybe just from looking at my payslip, what should I be on the lookout for to say if this benefit has been taxed X amount, I can now go to speak to my employer about it?
So just when an employee goes to the employer, and especially when they go to the finance department, the first question is, what's it going to cost? The good thing about using non-cash benefits like this is it doesn't cost the employer anything. So we've passed the biggest hurdle of trying to get this implemented. And once there's like, okay, it's no cost, then the employer is more likely to go ahead and embrace it. You had asked Karen sometime back the question of cost, and I'd like to add something there, if that's okay, right at this juncture.
Sure.
The cost of giving a gift is not just the cost of buying the gift, which is what Karen focused on, but there's a huge HR cost in going to find it, going to procure it, getting the money, to buy it, procuring it, getting it back to the office, and then distributing it to each of the employees, whether you're doing it yourself or you're doing it through a third party. If you're doing it through a third party, you've got to start managing the logistics company that is distributing the hampers. So there's a huge human capital cost also that goes into this whole process of gifting that we need to be aware of. And it's these HR managers who are managing this could be using that time to work on other things to improve employee motivation, employee wellness, to meet their KPIs, to do other work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Neil. Karen, I don't know whether there's something you'd like to add if employees came to you as HR, and I know he's talked about cost. What else would you also be keen to ask employees so that at least they know how do we approach these conversations should the need come up?
Okay. First of all, as Neil has said, yes, there's the amount of cost, because the problem is that most employees, of course, would want. They'll be like, oh, 5,000 was not enough last time. Can we have 10,000? Or we'd want to put the party aside, just as have our bonus or looking a bit fatter than what we had. But we have to listen to all round, because there are those who want money, there are those who want the fun and the party. So it's about how you balance and how you answer them, because you have to listen to them at the end of the day, because I usually believe employees are our assets. our major assets as where we work. So we have to keep them happy for them to be motivated. So yes, the amount of the questions about cost, what to have this year, what they'll prefer this year, getting this year or not getting. So those are what employees usually come to me for. Like this year, would not want to have a party. We would want to have this digital platform move from 5 to 10,000. We have big families and all that. So there's a way you can balance that, because at the end of the day, not everyone would want that. There's also the bit of culture and having people together. So it depends with how the question comes, and you'll be able to balance that with employees. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. And I think you are also digging into part of the next conversation, which is going to touch on culture. I want to encourage our listeners to type their questions on the Q&A section. Please have any questions that you'd like our speakers to answer today in regards to employee rewards and recognition. Anything on compliance and the tax incentives, I think there is quite a bit that we did not know previously. And right now we are working around to see how differently this is reimagined. Julian, I can see you asking for a link to the Tunu app. I am not sure whether I'm aware what you're talking about, but we are talking about Activate. It's Mtuza, and I know Neil can be able to talk about where you can find that. Thank you so much for your question. Again, even as we go to the next section of this conversation, and partly because what Neil and Karen have talked about does not end at just people understanding what is owed to them, but how is this inculcated within the culture so that we are not talking about rewarding only at the end of the year? Because part of the reason why we are having this conversation now is because this is a time that most employers are thinking about how to recognize their employees. But we want to look at how differently do you approach recognition and rewarding throughout the year so that employees remain engaged. And I would want to start with you, Karen, to ask why consistent recognition matters beyond December, because December seems to be the only time that employees are recognized, but there must be a reason why it matters beyond December.
I believe recognition matters beyond December. We should make recognition part of a monthly, quarterly rhythm, and not just a December event. I came up with recognition moments like birthdays, work anniversary, quick wins, using these digital awards. Because you would find there are these employees that maybe are not even there during your December event. Like during maybe the Christmas is when we have sent them, depending on the work they do. So they won't be there for the party, they won't be there for anything. So with our monthly rhythm of celebrating birthdays, work anniversary after every 5 years, we have seen this getting employees more motivated, because they don't just sit and wait. Yeah, it's December, that's when we are going to get our bonus. They don't know when the next recognition will come, because there are some that we do spot on. We have seen somebody has really worked hard, helped some other person. So you just recognize them, and you recognize them through this Mtuza, even with just 1,000. That sends an appreciation instantly, even when the people are remotely, and it keeps the morale of the employees so high all year round.
Yes, I agree. If more companies could embrace the spot on recognition, I think it really helps to, one, motivate the employee who gets it, but it also motivates the other people who did not get it to work harder to get it. Because if somebody is getting this spot on recognition every single week, it really drives the team to work to try and achieve to go above what they need to do in order to get that small spot on recognition, which means a lot to them.
Okay. I think I like that part of spot on. From experience, we've seen for us, and maybe also as an employee, there is motivation that comes from seeing another person being recognized, and I want to be the next one to be recognized. So they work harder, we work harder. So again, you see a more productive lot even as time goes. And I want to think about, or to link this into, or rather with employee retention in the long run, because as a business owner, I would want to know, how do I, beyond just remaining them, keeping them engaged for this period, for this short period of time, how do I map this as a long-term strategy for retention, employee retention? I think I would still come back to you, Karen, to speak to how this speaks to or ties in with employee retention in the long run.
Yeah, so recognition basically ties with long-term and even employees staying with you long-term. Because remember, we're in a competitive world where organizations would like to retain their good talents. So how do you retain your good talents? It's by recognizing them, by awarding them. And with this, they will, because at the end of the day, you've just ran a poll where you're asking questions, do you know about this digital? And you'll find so many people don't know about it. So I'm here scouting out for a job. And I realize, oh, I'm better off where I am because I'm getting recognized. I'm getting all these bonuses that people out there don't get. Because I usually believe most organizations think salary is the end game, which usually isn't the truth. Salary is not the end game, because if I would sit there just waiting for my monthly salary, what is keeping me motivated? So with these rewards and all these benefits, including even medical and all these meal benefits, that's what keep your staff retained and recognizing them. So with that, more motivated employees stays longer in the company. Because recently we just had somebody who retired after 47 years. You ask that person, why did you stay with this company 47 years? He has those good things to say, the recognition, the awarding. So it goes a long way with retention.
Great.
Yes, if I can just add to that.
Okay.
When we're talking about motivation, so we have employers who say, I motivate my employees because I give them medical cover. But does that really motivate your employee every day, truthfully? Because one, I may never use my medical cover the whole year. And for most of the year, I've even forgotten about it. So if, as HR professionals, we can start thinking about how can we motivate our employees more often? So for example, if I can give a lunch to my employee every single day, a hot, nutritious lunch, and especially to those people where the employees will not eat lunch because they can't afford it. Imagine what kind of motivation that would give to that employee.
Wow. And I think I want to agree with you. Food is a huge motivator. And maybe we don't understand how much it plays into somebody's psychology as an appreciation. So it's something for the HRs to think about. And you've partly touched on some of the next question I wanted to ask Neil about how HRs can also tap into solutions like what you've built under Activate as to build on their reward systems and frameworks for employees. How can they tap into these to manage and track the initiatives more seamlessly?
When you say tap in, what do you mean?
Like how do they use a solution like Activate to make sure that employees are rewarded?
Well, now with the partnership with Workpay, we can just go to Workpay and ask you. So I think we have good solutions, but I don't want to be biased on this call. I think HR managers should go back and think about what are the headaches that they have at work every day. Is it retention? Is it recruitment? Is it absenteeism? Is it sickness? Is it productivity? Is it low morale? is it? What is it? And from there, use the friend that all of us use today, AI, to figure out ways to reduce that. Because remember, in the end, if an HR person is consistently hiring, that is a headache you want to get rid of. If an HR person is consistently dealing with absenteeism, that's a headache you want to get rid of, so you can focus on more strategic things to ensure you meet your own KPIs as an individual, and also to make sure that the company grows and you grow as a person. So let's go back and think about the headache that I have every day that I don't need. Let's use AI to help us come up with a plan of how I can remove these headaches. And then there's many solution providers out there who can help you do it, evaluate them, decide which one is the best, and go with it.
Okay. And I think it's not too late for somebody who's not been doing this from the beginning of the year. Well, we are saying December is not the only time. I think it's a good time to start doing this. And I'm curious because what you're bringing out is the need for doing this often as opposed to it being a one-off thing. And I'm going to run one of the final polls for our audience, just to understand how often do your organizations formally recognize performance and partly reward? Would you say monthly? Would you say quarterly, annually? And now you have introduced something called spot on, like identify somebody who is really doing something. It's not part of this conversation or the poll, but I'm curious to also hear whether there are organizations that actually don't do this. I can see most of them are talking about annually. Please help us in answering this again to better understand where we are in terms of frequency of recognition and reward. And I can see most people are at annually, and this is the end of the year. So they are looking at December to, make it happen. And we are not saying that one is wrong. I think what we are trying to say is that introduce something that helps keep your employees engaged throughout the year, that they don't just look forward to the end of the year, that even if you have a huge party at the end of the year, it's the cherry on top. And I can see most of you are agreeing with annually. Thank you so much for taking your time to respond to this. A few of you are on quarterly. None of you have talked about monthly. Again, from a cost perspective, in terms of it being feasible for the business and it making sense in terms of return. I'm not sure how monthly would work, but I'm also happy to note that all companies represented here, or most companies represented here, are doing something in recognizing employee performance. Please keep sharing your questions. I think we are going to go to the question and answer very, very shortly. So please share your questions on our Q&A tab. Even as we almost come to a finish because of time to this conversation. And I would want to come back to you, Karen. Now that you've seen most people are being rewarded annually, how or what would you advise HRs that have missed out on the larger part of rewards and recognition for this year to do differently this December so that they still get the results of an engaged employee or workforce?
I would like to encourage my fellow HR practitioners to reinforce the recognition, because this aligns with the company culture, like I'd say, where you have like team recognition campaigns sometimes, the spot on heroes, or even putting up challenges. For example, we put on challenges quarterly for smartly dressed without them knowing. We're just checking who has been so spot on and smartly dressed these past 3 months. So with that, as Neil had mentioned, people continue working harder. It builds a positive feedback culture. I believe that. So my fellow HR practitioners should pick up on rewarding. I know the cost implication, as you've already mentioned, people want to do this annually, but do you think about the retention, what you talked about, people moving to better companies that reward them better? So how much do you use to rehire? Sometimes put that money back into rewarding, and you'll have your people staying, because rehiring takes a lot of money than rewarding. I believe so.
And if I can add to that, this time of the year when we're doing budgets, your finance person is going to come to you and say, we're going to allocate, I don't know, 2 million shillings towards raises for next year. So why don't you take 120,000 of that 2 million shillings and not put it into raises, but say, I'm going to use it towards giving 10,000 shillings in spot rewards of 2,000 shillings every single week.
Yeah.
Right? So you can go and be innovative and look for ways to try and find the money somewhere else, and use it towards this.
Interesting. You take your budget allocation and divide it across. I think it's a brilliant way to look at it. And again, Neil, I think you have also weighed in on the same question, because just some advice for people or employers, HR professionals who are looking at doing these things a bit differently for this remaining part of the year before they start January. And to say that December should not be the end of this conversation, that they can continue doing this even when January comes, to help keep employees engaged. I'd like to answer one question that has come to us from Rajiv. Can we make the payment of the 60K as a one-off, or it has to be monthly for tax purposes? I think you can answer that, Neil, and from a tax incentive perspective.
So the law, the act says that it's 60,000 per year. So how you pay the 60,000 in one calendar year is up to you. So to answer his question, yes, you can do 60,000 as one-off.
To add on what Neil has just mentioned, like for us, I do the 5,000 per month for everyone, because that's tax-free, still adds to the 60,000. So you can choose to do it monthly, quarterly, the way you choose it, but at the end of the year, it has to add up to 60 per year.
Okay. What happens if it is more than 60,000 per year?
You're going to be charged 30% of the top-up. Like, for example, if I'm to give a reward of a meal benefit of 6,000 shillings, the 1,000 will be taxed 30%. The extra 1,000, not the whole amount.
Okay, the extra 1,000.
Yes.
But if I am using a solution like M-Kula or M-Tuza, it allows me to not attract any tax, right?
Up to 60,000 per year.
Up to 60,000 as well.
Per year.
Yes.
Okay, but it also gives me the
In
freedom.
Kenya, in Uganda, there's no limit, provided everyone gets the same benefit.
Okay, great. If there is any other question from our listeners, please type it in, because we are winding up the conversation. I think the larger part of what we are learning today is beyond just how we reimagine our benefits, but also how differently the needs for employees have evolved to help employers understand, are they speaking the language of employees, and are they giving employees what they want? And the freedom that employees are looking for is found in some of these digital solutions that have been introduced. Happy that we've had a chance to introduce one of the digital solutions that exist as part of our Workpay and Activate's partnership, to help employers and employees alike to understand what is available for them so that they can make better decisions when it comes to rewarding employees. And I would want to give our speakers a chance to give a final word based on this conversation, and partly what we are also reading from the different people, both from the polls and from the questions that are being asked. What would be your final remarks based on this conversation? And I would want to start with you, Karen.
Okay, my final remarks would be like, recognition is not just a budget item. I believe it's a culture driver. So digital tools make it easier to sustain appreciation across the teams. And recognition doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be thoughtful and consistent. I believe so. So when you recognize people for who they are and what they contribute to the company, you don't just motivate them, you build their loyalty, which in turn keep them retained in the company, their energy and the strong company culture. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Any final words from you, Neil?
Yes. So as we talk about benefits and try and think about how can benefits help us, I'm going to challenge all of the HR, actually everyone on the call today, to think about some of the companies that offer exceptional benefits. These companies are not necessarily the ones who offer the best pay. And even if I take an example like Google, who has more than enough money to pay everyone the best pay in the world, they pay a competitive salary, they pay bonuses, but they do many, many other things to try and retain the employees through benefits. So they give generous leaves, more than what's required by law. They provide food available 24 hours a day in all of the offices across the world, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snacks. They provide fitness and gym benefits to make sure the employees stay healthy. They provide transportation where required. They provide on-site laundry at Google headquarters. There's many things that they do to retain the employees above the cash. And I want you to think about what would happen in your organization if you provided just one or two of these benefits every day to your employees. What would change in your organization? And how much further would your organization go with productive, motivated, engaged employees? Thanks, Jess.
Thank you so much, Neil, for that. I think it's clear in terms of what both business leaders and HR professionals on this call and people who will be joining us even later, that this has to be well thought through. To just understand at the heart of the employee productivity that we are all looking for, that we think through how we want to reward and recognize them. Maybe just to pick a few insights that have come up from this conversation. Number one is traditional rewards have been seen to be costly in terms of their delivery, but we've seen a different shift, as Karen has shared, that recognition does not have to be costly. It just has to be well thought through and considerate. Then it's also not something that you do as a one-off. Inculcate this on your day-to-day activity as a HR professional to make sure that you are rewarding and you're rewarding across, not rewarding the same people consistently, but also introducing creative ways to identify unique people who are doing things uniquely within the organization as an all year round strategy. For those who've missed out on this year's recognition plans for their organizations, it's not too late. You have a bit about 1.5 months to complete this, and maybe the one that crowns it all, which is the end of year parties in December, but also an opportunity to inculcate this into your day-to-day activities beginning of 2026. it begins with you and helping even the managers within the organizations, other employees, to give shout outs to them, to each other, peer-to-peer shout outs that helps them understand or see rewards and recognition as part of their culture. And I think at the end of the day, we've seen solutions that help organizations implement this more seamlessly within their organizations, like Aptivate. And if you'd like to have follow-up conversations just to understand how Aptivate can help you implement a digital reward system in your organizations, how these tax incentives would work in your organization. I think there was a question on the chat from Janet. She's talking about 60,000 Kenya shillings per person per year. I believe that is per person, the 60,000 cap.
60,000 per person per year for non-cash and 60,000 per person per year for meals. So if you combine the two, it's 120,000 per person per year.
120.
Give them in tax-free benefits.
120,000 per year, both cash and non-cash.
And if you were to give that in payroll, 36,000 of that is going to go to KRA.
Yeah, that's a lot of money going to KRA. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who has engaged with us. Thank you for everybody who's asked questions. We have left a link on the chat box. Yes, we will be sharing a link to this, to this recording immediately after this. I've also left a link that helps you understand better what this Workpay Aptivate partnership does. And if you want a follow-up call with us or the team from Aptivate, please be sure to include your details on that link, and we can always, we shall reach out to you. In case you want us to have this conversation sooner, I am also running another poll. Let me know whether it's something you'd want to pick up a bit later or it's something that you'd want to do now. Then we will get the team to talk to you immediately in the course of this week about our solution or Aptivate solution for employee rewards. I can see most of you would like to learn more about this solution, so we'll be reaching out to you. The ones who are not ready to have this conversation yet, happy to pick up this at a time that you're ready for you or for your organization. But for the ones who are ready, we will pick up this conversation as soon as possible and have you understand better how to implement this within your organization. Thank you so much. Please vote so that at least we get to know who to reach out to. This is our last poll, and we'd like to close in a minute or two. But we really do appreciate your time, your engagement. You are a very good audience. You asked questions, you responded to our polls. And a huge thank you to our speakers of today. Thank you so much, Neil, for sharing with us and helping us understand employee recognition better. And even from a HR perspective, how this becomes part of a culture within an organization. We are really grateful for your time. Karen, I know many HRs should be borrowing a couple of things from what you've shared, from your both your experiences as a HR and using Aptivate's products. Thank you so much. We will reach out to the number of you that would like us to reach out immediately. And for the ones that would want some bit of time, we will come back to you hopefully next year to see whether anything has changed. But thank you so much for your time, everyone. We really do appreciate your time. I wish you a great evening, a great afternoon from wherever you're watching us from. And if it is earlier in the day, we wish you all the best. I'll be sharing a few notes from this meeting shortly and a recording for the same. Please share with anybody that you think would benefit from this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.